Hello, I'm Chuck Benoit. Welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. U.S. Speaker of the House Robert Winthrop stated in May 28, 1849, that men, in a word, must be controlled either by a power within them or a power without them, either by the Word of God or by the strong arm of man, either by the Bible or by the bayonet. Of course, my words have been, we must govern ourselves or be governed by tyrants. So we're seeing a breakdown of the power within, the willingness to have a moral compass by which we live by, and its result of the power of violence in many outbursts from the left. However, there is hope, because Bible sales have increased over the last few years by about 20%. Church attendance is rising for the first time in decades, and with young men being a large group of those returning to church. So these are very positive signs, but there is a long way to go. So I would encourage everyone to participate in the rededication of our nation to the God of the Bible on May 17th. Let's not let this be perfunctory, a perfunctory display by a genuine, but a genuine heartfelt acknowledgement of our debt as a nation to the very God of our founding. So with that, I've also been asked to mention on the behalf of the Lake Federated Women's Club and the Southern Diamond Federated Women, and to invite you to participate in their Republican primary candidate meet and greet. It's on June 10th between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Venetian Center. I think also they have a list of people who have already, here it is, who've already said they would be there. They've RSVP'd. So if you're interested in that, you can contact them, and we will get ready to be on with our show. Good morning, Mike Levine.
Good morning, Chuck.
So what's up with you this morning?
Well, I clicked on something and I can't see you right now, but I can hear you, and I'm sure you can see me, so that's fine. Maybe it's better that I take the visual out, but I just want to kind of recap what you just said. The Lake Federated Republican Women are having a candidate forum at the Venetian Center, and you're going to have to put up any information you have there, Chuck, with the dates and times and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did that.
But I think okay, great. So I think that's a great opportunity because, again, I believe under Sue Parent's leadership, the Lake Federated Republican Women will invite all the candidates, not just a few. And I think that Sue is going to, again, I'd be surprised if Sue in any way limited the Republican candidates who were welcome to attend, which she said in her invitation that all Republican candidates are welcome. So that's really good news. I've noticed some of the forums and stuff going around the state. They've been very selective about who they include. So I applaud the Lake Federated Republican Women and Sue Parent for giving all Republicans that are registered and filed into the primary an opportunity to come and speak with the constituents. And I would assume that the Lake Federated Republican Women consider Lake County, all of Lake County, their constituency, Chuck.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Again, that's 6 to 8 p.m. On Wednesday, June 10th at the Venetian Center. If anyone doesn't know, it's at 1 Dozier Circle in Leesburg. We've had several events over there. I'm sure most of our viewers know where that is.
Okay, great. So, interesting
important
times, Chuck, our buddy. Go ahead.
Well, the next important thing to note is Happy Cinco de Mayo. Like,
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about it. Cinco de Mayo. That means I get to drink a margarita today.
well,
That'll be the only margarita that I drink this year or last year.
well,
Right.
right, there you go. There you go.
So
I
there you
just
go.
had
That's a great and you know what? I'm sitting here in downtown Mount Dora, surrounded by bars and restaurants, so I won't have a hard time finding one.
yeah, I'm sure Probably trip over one on your way out the door over there.
On the way out the door. I probably have somebody on the street passing them out in Mount Dora.
Yeah, that's my point.
Which is fine. That's just great. Whatever.
There you go. Well, we have a couple of things we'd like to talk about today. I'm thinking we might want to start with resign to run and move on to other things. If that works for you.
Well, that's such an interest. Yeah, well, something that kind of dawned on me that while Anthony Sabatini has decided to run for Congress in CD11, which makes perfect sense to me, it's an open seat now that Congressman Dan Webster has announced that he is withdrawing from the race. He's retiring, which is great. And, Anthony has run for Congress twice, but in 2024, of course, he was running for this CD11 seat, but took a read of the landscape and decided to withdraw from the CD11 race and then jumped into the county commission race for District 1. Which is really from Howey in the Hills south to the Lake County line down in Four Corners at 192 down there. And of course, there was I know at least 3 candidates in that race, and Anthony prevailed. So he won the county commission seat. He's serving us in the Lake County Board of County Commissioners today. And I just want to say that because, for example, of course, when Ron DeSantis wanted to run for president, he, in conjunction with his partner Paul Renner and Kathleen Passidomo in the Senate, just rewrote the election law and removed the resign to run language from the election law as it relates to the governor running for president, allowing Ron DeSantis to keep his job while he ran for president. But unfortunately, Anthony Sabatini does not get the same opportunity. So, and I know that Anthony knows that, and Anthony's decided that running for this congressional seat is more important than keeping his county commission seat. And while I understand that, Anthony's wanted to be in Congress for a few years now, and he certainly is a fighter and somebody that supports your point of view and my point of view the vast majority of the time, unlike others who might be running in that race. So long story short, we're going to lose Anthony on or before June the 3rd, which is coming right around the corner. And I would just say, Chuck, do you have anything to say about that at this point, or you want me to continue?
Well, I certainly will say that, as you noted, that Anthony kind of stands up for things that we believe in more than not. Not that everything he says and does is totally our thoughts or whatever, but he certainly represents us in a considerable number of positions. So it will be kind of a disappointment to lose him. The next question is who might, well, actually, someone will be appointed to that position. Is that how that's going to work, Mike?
That's correct. That'll be a gubernatorial appointment. Right. So if you take a quick reference to the next topic, which I'm not ready to move on from this topic, I'm not saying that, but we will on this stream demonstrate to the audience the price of losing Anthony on the Board of County Commissioners, Chuck.
Right.
And I'm going to say, if you don't mind, that as the community, like for example, a week or so ago, the mayor of Mount Dora came out and wrote a one-pager, which I love that. You know, I'm the king of one-pagers, right? If you have something to say, document it. And he came out and he wrote a letter basically saying that in his city, Mount Dora, the citizens are outraged about the irresponsible development that's going on, not just in Mount Dora, but around the county, and recommended that all of the cities in Lake County come together with the Board of County Commissioners and have a joint planning um, resolution to structure land use planning in the whole county, including municipal jurisdictions, which, Commissioner Leslie Campione came out because she's running for reelection right now as well. And she wanted the public to be clear that she called for a joint planning resolution 2 years ago or more. Um, so um, that's I think that's needed. But of course, many of the cities in Lake County, I should say, I'll qualify it and say some of the cities in Lake County are totally against it. They don't want any part of it. They don't want any restrictions on annexation or anything like that. So the cities will not support Mount Dora Mayor James Homick's call for a joint planning resolution. Um, so that's that, which leaves us with our strongest voice on the Board of County Commissioners, Anthony Sabatini, working hard, defiantly, to protect our farmland, minimize irresponsible growth, eliminate development before infrastructure, which causes all of our traffic problems and actually results in loss of life, Chuck. I mean, you have accidents on the highway due to congestion and poor planning and poor infrastructure. Let's face it, that causes damage to property and life. So this is a bad thing for us in Lake County that we're losing Commissioner Sabatini, um, although his mission may be respectable. He'll, hope, if he wins the election, which he's got to go through the primary first, and then he'll go into the general election. But if we can get Anthony Sabatini in Congress and at the federal level, we may get some benefits out of that. But we're going to miss him dear. I mean, it's going to be bad because again, who's going to appoint? Ron DeSantis is going to appoint, and that kind of leads us into phase two of this episode, Chuck.
Yeah, now, are there restrictions as to who the governor can appoint? Do they have to be in District 1 here in Lake County, or can it be anybody?
Well, I mean, the rule is, the law is that you have to live in the district. But of course, nobody follows that law. Again, Tim Sullivan served 2 terms as a Board of County as a commissioner in Lake County. He never lived in the district, not for a minute. He rented a cheap apartment from his buddy Jim Miller, and claimed it as his residence. And there was no furniture in the damn thing. So, and people were checking on him, and they would go look in the windows of this little apartment or whatever it was, and they would point out that there was no way Tim Sullivan was living there. He owned a house in District 3, and his wife slept in District 3, and I'm pretty sure Tim, didn't abandon his wife for this little empty apartment. So, long story short, they don't really follow that, but it's going to be, I mean, Ron DeSantis is going to make the appointment, and Ron DeSantis makes political appointments. So what's going to happen there is DeSantis will, contact some of the stakeholders here in Lake County. They'll recommend a couple of people, and DeSantis will choose from that. And it's, in my opinion, I haven't heard this anywhere else, but, the Board of County Commissioners were really interested. They had to talk Doug Shields into running in 2024, but they did. So the Board of County Commissioners were pretty happy with Doug Shields as a commissioner. And Doug Shields, of course, ran against Sabatini in 2024. So it could be that they reach out to Doug Shields and say, hey, if we were to recommend you as the appointee, would you accept the appointment? And, Shields was kind of reluctant to run in 2024. I personally was speaking with him, and he told me he was not going to run in 2024, but I think the commissioners convinced him to run. And it could very well be that they just appoint Doug Shields. He hits the ground running. He's only been out of the commission for a year and a half. The other commissioners like him. Obviously, when he comes to Republican Executive Committee meetings, which he never did before, he's coming on behalf of the tax collector David Jordan and others in the establishment who want him there because he's a vote for their, um, I guess I use the word regime, right? So I would think it's a no-brainer for the governor to appoint Doug Shields back to his county commission seat, Chuck.
Yeah, well, that is probably very much a possibility. So this resign to run thing is not necessarily going to make some of us in Lake County happy, but is Doug Shields terribly suited, from our perspective, to represent us, or is he just kind of one of those people you can't necessarily rely on being a conservative vote?
Um, to Doug Shields' credit, I was at a county commission meeting where a developer was proposing a very high density project down in the Four Corners area. And Shields, Shields, he has a lot of characteristics that line up on the left side of the equation, but he did in that particular case have the wherewithal to tell this developer to his face in a county commission meeting that he could not approve the density that the developer was requesting because that particular project fell within the green swamp area of critical concern. And a lot of the constituents in the District 1, particularly keeping in mind that this county commission race is at large. So all of Lake, well, this would be an appointment, but when this comes back on the ballot, it's an at large election. So everyone in Lake County votes for all 5 county commission seats. But he told the developer that his constituency, he ran on a platform of protecting the aquifer and protecting the green swamp area of critical concern, and therefore he could not vote for the increased density that the developer was asking for. So, that says something good, about Shields. He was not willing to betray his base, which was not us, Chuck. We were not particularly Doug Shields fans. Keep in mind, Doug Shields is retired from the CIA. So, that is ingrained in his neuroplasticity of his brain. He's a CIA guy. So that's who he is. And I don't dislike Doug Shields. I never knew Doug Shields very well when he was running, but I had to give him credit. And, I personally, I spoke at that same particular meeting, and I told the Board of County Commissioners that I wasn't speaking in favor of or against raising the density. That's up to them, but I had to bring a couple of points about the particular site that the developer was improving and just told them, I just need for you to know certain things about this parcel that is obvious if you look at the legal description. And I just want you to make sure that you understand what this guy owns and what he doesn't, so that you can decide whether you want to approve this density change or not. And that was my testimony. And then, of course, Doug Shields, came in and said ultimately that he was going to vote against the amendment because his constituency did not like high density in that area of critical concern in South Lake County, Chuck. So I give him credit for that. I don't think Doug Shields is a terrible commissioner, although I doubt that he's going to line up with us. And basically, if there's development projects in North Lake County, he will be voting on those too. And he didn't promise any constituents he wouldn't vote for that. So we'll have to take a look back and see what Doug Shields' actual voting record is to see, whether we really like him or not. But, I will just leave it at that. I'm neutral on Doug Shields. I don't like him or dislike him. I do give him credit, though, for standing up, and honoring the concerns of his constituency as it came to this one particular project that came before the commission, Chuck.
Okay. Well, let's move on to an item in the Sarasota Phoenix. I'm going to kind of throw this up here because I think you wanted it in the shot here. SarasotaPhoenix.com. Why don't you talk to me about, or talk to us about this $1.4 million fundraiser that took place to stuff the pockets of Byron Donalds?
Well, my point is that how, uh, if you want to know how your state is governed, read that article. And I highly encourage anyone who sees this video to read the article because it lays out exactly who the power players are in the Sarasota County area. I'm sure there are others across the state of Florida, but I would suggest that this article lines out the vast majority of control over our elected officials. And it's very interesting because again, these guys, you can see the glee on their faces when they go to these fundraisers and they raise millions of dollars in one evening at a fundraiser. And then of course, this is, we're talking primarily about the gubernatorial race, but there's more, much more in that article. This particular article really walks through it and goes through and shows you how the money in Sarasota County really controls what happens in the state of Florida. And if you go through there and take a look at the names and stuff like that that are referenced in that particular article, this has been going on for a very long time. And these developers literally own the governorship, according to the article, that these guys, they donated heavily to Rick Scott. And of course, Rick Scott dismantled the 1985 Growth Management Act. He was the beginning of the dismantling of the 1985 Growth Management Act, and they contributed millions of dollars. They bundled, according to the article, they bundled millions of dollars for Rick Scott, which led to the basic degradation of the 1985 Growth Management Act. And then they also bundled for Governor Ron DeSantis, and Governor Ron DeSantis has been no friend of responsible development, literally stripping, as we've said a million times, stripping city councils and county commissions over their authority over particularly high density residential housing projects. So that's continued throughout the entire 2 terms of Ron DeSantis. And now, they're loading up Byron Donalds with money so they can continue to do this hopefully for them. They're hoping that Donalds will get elected and serve 2 terms. So, there you go. So I'm saying to you, my takeaway from all that is the idea that the people of this state have anything to do with what goes on in this state is a complete farce. Okay? We have nothing to do with it. And as far as I'm concerned, our leadership has absolutely zero concern for anything that we're concerned about. And I'll just, as an example, we'll just stay on the subject of land use. And if you think that putting high density government subsidized apartment complexes between every housing development in Florida is a good idea, well then yeah, maybe you're getting represented in Tallahassee. But if you think that we should have responsible land use planning measures, and we think that we should have infrastructure before development, if you think there should be green space, and if you think that we should set aside land for farming and do all the things that are required to actually put food on the table and protect Floridians from becoming New York or California, which is where we're heading under this pay to play program, which this particular article just so clearly lays out is happening in the state of Florida, Chuck, well, then maybe you are getting some representation there. But for everyday Floridians who have basic desires and hopes for their life and for their kids and for their posterity, this is not working for you, Chuck.
Yeah, well, it's a sad thing for sure. I just want to point out before I take it off the screen completely, in the SarasotaPhoenix.com is where you're going to find that article. SarasotaPhoenix.com.
I found it on Facebook. I think one of the Republican Liberty Caucus chapters posted it out of Manatee, actually. So if you want to see it on Facebook, you can do that too. You can just search up Republican Liberty Caucus, and then it'll give you a list of the Republican Liberty Caucus chapters in Florida that have Facebook pages. And if you go to Manatee, you'll find it there. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you can check it out now, right there on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So, and that's so interesting as well, Chuck, because earlier in the week I sent you over another little flyer that came from the Republican Liberty Caucus that's supporting Wilton Simpson over Matt the Welder. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. Let me see if I can jump up on
Yeah,
that.
pop that up on the screen.
Yeah, it might take me a minute.
No problem. So anyway, that's the point. So again, even within the grassroots organizations, you have obviously differing of opinion, which is fine. I respect the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida to allow their various chapters to have points of view that are not consistent with the state board of directors. That's great. I like dissent in both directions. So, that's a good thing, but
I'm not
I
sure.
doubt seriously that the state board of directors at the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida is going to support Matt the Welder to be the Secretary of Agriculture, Chuck.
Yeah, the thing that kind of jumped out on me, to me, on this particular piece, I don't know if it got cut off somewhere, but it doesn't say who actually paid for this.
That's because that graphic was inserted into a Facebook post, but it was inserted under the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida. And I'm not sure if it was under one of the chapters, or I was under the impression when I sent it to you that it was under the state banner. But you would have to go back and take a look at that. But it's the same process. Just go to Republican Liberty Caucus Florida on Facebook, and then take a look at the graphic that I sent you, and you can see that they're saying that Matt the Welder is pretty tricky, but he's really not competent to serve as the Secretary of Agriculture. That's according to Wilton Simpson and the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida, whoever posted that particular graphic, Chuck.
So you feel like the Republican Liberty Caucus is definitely behind that flyer?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Somebody within the Republican Liberty Caucus posted that. Okay. So the question becomes, right? I mean, and you can look at Wilton Simpson and, Wilton, have your opinion about Wilton Simpson. He was the president of the Senate. He served as Secretary of Agriculture. He knows the job, but he's also a developer. Wilton Simpson's a developer. So, you got to take a look at that, and you can see all the legislation that's been passed down out of that the governor signed into law, and Wilton Simpson's not complaining about it, and he's the Secretary of Agriculture, and he's a developer. So it makes sense that he supports the hyper development that's going on in the state, right? I mean, and let me just say to you, Chuck, at this point that particularly as we go into this meeting with the Board of County Commissioners on the Constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officer Association ordinance that we're asking the county commissioners to pass, I'm saying to you that if you're, and I've had this conversation with Lake County leadership ever since I've been involved, since 2010. And when I would speak to constitutional officers and various commissioners and stuff, and my thesis was that if you're an elected official in this county, you are responsible to the constituents to protect them against bad things. And sadly, I've never had a constitutional officer or a commissioner, for that matter, tell us that it's their responsibility to protect the rights of their constituents in their county.
Yeah.
And I would suggest the state as well. So I think it totally is. And if your constituents are in fear of state and federal government, even county government, or your cities for that matter, it's your responsibility as an elected leader to fight to protect your neighbors who are also your constituents. And I'd like to see that mindset adopted in every single elected office in this country, Chuck.
Yeah,
It's
Mike,
your
as
job as
we're kind
go
of
ahead.
coming to the end of our time, and we have a couple of quick comments that I'd like to throw out here. First of all, we have someone wanting to nominate you to take Anthony Sabatini's place, and that's Jason suggested that. John Holden has a couple of quick questions. I think one of them I can answer very quickly. He asks, I thought the RLC had to stay impartial, and no, they are very partial. They're not a part of the Republican Party. It's the RECs, the local executive committees, and supposedly the RPOF that should be impartial when it comes to the primary elections. And
Right.
I think I'm okay there. And then finally, I think he's talking about the county ordinance on the sanctuary cities, and he's asking how that works for him. He suggests that the power is in the hands of the sheriff, not the citizen, but I think the quick answer to that is it's the citizen that goes to the sheriff, and the sheriff interposes for the citizen. Am I correct there, Mike?
Let me just clear this up, okay? Because this is the big deal, okay? Really, as a citizen of the United States, you have all the rights that are delineated in the Bill of Rights and really all of the Constitution in its entirety. The problem is that in order to enforce your rights, you've got to enforce in federal courts, which is a much heavier lift than enforcing your rights in your local circuit court. So the ordinance would just reiterate what your rights, what your federally granted rights under the Constitution are, and would basically codify those same rights into your local government so you could defend your constitutional rights in local courts, in the local circuit court, and you wouldn't have to go to a federal court to enforce your rights. That's the big deal there, Chuck and
Absolutely.
John.
Very good.
Right.
So we are out of time. Mike, would you like to give us a final remark?
I'm just saying that I don't know. I don't like the idea that we're about to get a county commissioner appointed by the governor. You can love or hate Ron DeSantis. Various people do. I see that Ron DeSantis has done some good things for the state of Florida, but I think on this land use thing in particular, where the money is, let me reiterate, where the money is, Ron DeSantis is not on our side. So he's about to appoint a commissioner into this District 1 seat that is probably not going to protect us from irresponsible land use. That's going to be a big deal on his list of criterion on how he chooses this commissioner. So that's a problem for us, and we're going to have to live for the next 2 years at least. And keep in mind that whoever DeSantis appoints will run in 2028 as an incumbent, which gives them a massive advantage. So, yeah, I'm not happy at all that we're losing Anthony from the commission to go to Congress, and we're assuming that he wins because if he loses, he's out of the game altogether, and Anthony's starting from scratch. So Anthony must be pretty confident that he can win this CD11 seat. I hope he does, and that's where we are. So it's a body blow to us, really. When you get because again, you can take a look at all of the 5 county commissioners, and I would suggest that Anthony's the only one who really drives our point of view, and the other commissioners. And Anthony is so powerful that he influences the other commissioners. He shames them into going along with his point of view, which is what we need in that seat. So losing Anthony on the Board of County Commissioners is a big problem, Chuck.
Well, thank you so much, Mike Levine, and thank you all for tuning into our twice weekly live stream. Again, please follow us on Facebook and X at Restore Our Rep 76. Check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic ROAR. Please like and share the program. And remember, if you are unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. Until next time, God bless you, God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless America.